You are infinity, you are eternity, you are God, you are the source, and you don't know it. You are the king of the world, you are the queen of the world, trying to find one drop of happiness outside when you are the endless ocean of bliss. You take yourself to be a little bigger, a little victim of life. Tat Tvam Asi, Aham Brahmasmi. I am the supreme reality. You are me, I am you. Marga, the pathless path, because there is nowhere to go, there is nothing to do. Nirvana, there are infinite paths to Nirvana, because Nirvana is already who you are. Maya becomes Leela, illusion becomes a play of consciousness. Awakening is just the beginning. Don't limit yourself for the light that you are, whether you realize it now or not. Enlightenment, self-realization is very possible for you. You are here because you are ready for your enlightenment. If you have wondered what a modern Buddha would say about the original Buddha's teachings of the Four Noble Truths, you are here at the right place. What does a modern Buddha mean? Somebody who's awake, somebody who sees that this is a dream, and somebody who is simply aware of the true nature through experiential realization, not just thinking about it, not just reading about it, not just some conceptual understanding, but an experiential, deep realization that forms that connection, oneness. These words are very limited to describe what that is, but I have been on my spiritual awakening journey my entire life. And about 11 years ago, I awoke. And awakening is just the beginning. There's more deepening and integration that happens. And the more time you integrate, the more time this awakening spreads into all areas of your life, the more things change and more things remain the same. But yeah, it's very hard to talk about the fullness of it in words, but words can be used for communication. So I'll try to convey my seeing, my realizations, my experiences that would be a take on the Four Noble Truths as taught by Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, that prince from India, who generally is referred to as the Buddha. But the Buddha, as you know, probably, or if you don't, what it means is somebody who's awake. That is literally a nickname or a title. A title is a better way to put it, of somebody who's awake. A Buddha. Somebody that does not still remain in this misunderstanding, this dream of being a little person, being separate, being a little victim of life. That's the most common way of being normal and being awake, spiritual awakening, enlightenment. We use different words. God realization, self-realization is what gets you from being a normal person who still limits themselves to that person, to somebody who realizes their oneness of all that is, or their non-personhood, the emptiness of the self. So many ways of describing it, but I think we have talked about it enough to come to the subject now. It's important to address these things. Anything else to address before we actually dive into the subject? Maybe an intro would help, because I'm probably somebody who popped up on your YouTube feed and you have no idea who I am. My name is Ranetcher. I'm an ordained monk in a Vajrayana Buddhist school, not a very traditional school. I had my first awakening before I met my Buddhist teacher in an Advaita Vedanta school with an enlightened teacher. My first enlightened teacher woke me up, opened my eyes. I had several satoris or samadhis, as they are called, with the first enlightened teacher, which completely changed my life. My second teacher helped me continue the journey into deeper and deeper enlightenment. And enlightenment is not the end, it's just the beginning. There is so much more. And I am an eternal student, even after 4 significant milestones in enlightenment. I realized there is so much more to learn, so much more to understand, so much more to receive, that I continue to be a student and I continue to learn from the Guru Tattva, that is life, but also a physical guru. It's not a problem to have a guru, even if you're a guru. I have many students all over the world, and we have a beautiful community. We meet online and in person whenever I travel, hold retreats, etc. But I lead a community of awakening souls, and there are many people who consider me as their guru. But for me, it's not important that people see me as their guru. It's important that they open their hearts, open their minds in order to receive. It doesn't have to be from me, but if they are interested, whether they see me as their friend, their mentor, their teacher, their guru, whatever word they call their brother, doesn't matter to me. Their spiritual best friend, doesn't matter. All I care about is if I'm able to convey what I'm here to convey to them. And it's a powerful, powerful experience to be able to be in this position of speaking from this place. So I try to do my best. As a person, I try to do my best. And that is my intention. My only intention is this dharma that life has given me of being a mirror. A clear mirror to whoever is interested to see their enlightened nature. That's all. So it's not about me, it's about you, if you're interested. If you're not interested, doesn't matter. If you're not interested, why are you even watching this? But if you are interested, I recommend, before we go into it, open your heart, open your mind, put aside all doubt, so that you can receive what is being given Mm. Put aside expectations, put aside, fixed concepts and beliefs, because if you have those, if you're looking through that lens, no matter what I say will not reach you. Mm. Mm. So see me, if you would like, as just a reflection of life itself in your consciousness, speaking to you impersonally, and then you'll see the most. Okay, enough about the setup of all this, but hopefully that gives you enough to put aside the conceptual, so you can go deeper into what is beyond. Because what I'm talking about is not just some words that I read, it's not just some understanding that I used my brain and my knowledge, bookish knowledge, to gain, to earn. Even though, just like anybody else, I am able to use concepts. One of the things about somebody who's enlightened or awake is the ability to also put aside the attachment to the conceptual mind. So I'll try to bring through the transmission of this. Transmission is me being able to convey the essence of what I'm speaking to you energetically, so that it can reach the depth of your being to awaken something within you. Okay. The Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths. I think the Sanskrit, if you're interested at all of this, Chatvari Arya Satyani. If I remember correctly. Which means the four. Noble, the word noble in Sanskrit, Arya. Arya. The word Arya has been misused for political gain and such, but that's not what it's pointing towards. Arya is goodness, nobility, not in terms of, oh, a nobleman, but what is truly, truly the goodest good, that always points to divinity, that always points to enlightenment. So this is saying, the word Arya here is referring to, it's not about some truth about this happened, that happened, some limited truth about facts and figures, and something that is about samsara, which is something about this limited world from the lens of separation, but something that is the goodest good, which is godly, which is divine. The four divine truths. Satya, Satyani, which means truth, but the word Satya has so many more meanings or connotations or deeper understandings that come with it. Satya is what exists. Sat. reality, truth of what is. So, even though the truth of what is so vast, so infinite, so beyond words, these are four different realizations of one person who went beyond his personhood to realize in his own way what he expressed as four noble truths. And this realization is based on that very specific person's expression of it. Because each enlightened person has a very different way of realizing this, the way they speak about it, if you look at the surface of it. But the depth of that realization beyond the words is, if you dig deeply enough, if you remove the cultural, the religious, the language, the time period when it was said, if you remove all those coverings on top of the essential truth, you will find the same deep pointing towards the one truth that each and every truly religion, each and every saint, each and every Buddha, each and every awakened person, each and every guru talks about. It is the same. But the Buddha expressed it in a certain way in this teaching, and he's also expressed it in other ways, in other teachings throughout the rest of his life. He continued teaching, and as I said, enlightenment is just the beginning, awakening is just the beginning, and there is more integration, evolution, deepening after that. In the same way, you will see how Buddha, the rest of his life as he taught, he expanded upon it, deepened the teachings. There are so many myths about enlightenment, so I wanted to speak a little bit about that. So, four noble truths. Beginning with the first one, dukkha. I try to go directly into the Sanskrit words when possible, because it gives me a deeper understanding, because I'm familiar with Sanskrit. Because the translations in English are, you can use many different words to try to grasp that, and it's good, to translate it into words that are accessible to most people. Most people don't know Sanskrit, but when you have a more direct understanding of the word itself, it helps have one more deeper viewpoint of it, closer to the original. In Sanskrit, it is dukkha. Sanskrit and Pali are very close. In fact, Pali, the language in which a lot of Buddhist teachings are, comes directly from Sanskrit as an apabhramsha. So Sanskrit was the high language that the scholars spoke, and Pali was more an easier version of Sanskrit, you could say, which the commoners understood and spoke. So you will see a lot of commonalities in the pronunciations, Like Buddha's first sermon is called Dharma Chakra Pravartana Sutra in Sanskrit, and in Pali it is Dhamma Chakra Pavatana Sutta. You see how it's like Sanskrit has this clear pronunciation of the words in a scholarly way, and Pali is more of a, a commoner's pronunciation, but this was the way that the language was more accessible for people. At the time, Pali was much easier for people to understand. So that's one of the reasons Buddhism was able to reach a lot of people. So yeah, enough about Sanskrit and Pali. Dukkha, the first teaching. Dharma Chakra. We can get into that teaching some other time, but they're all related. Let's focus on the first teaching, Dukkha. This was the first teaching, the first truth. That Dukkha exists. Dukkha can be translated as suffering, as pain, as existential dread in some way, just like the dread of existence. Just suffering, not just deep, dark, very intense suffering, but even just the suffering of being in this body as a limited person. So this, you have to understand that this is true. The truth of suffering is true, but at the level of separate existence. When you are in a human body, when you have existence in this world, there is suffering, because the human body has all the qualities of duality. And there is this dream that this human body exists, and it seems to be true in this dream. And as long as that dream exists, in that dream, there is suffering. As the dreamer, that personality goes through this Maya, which is the illusion of existence as a separate being, there is just even the sense of separation from God, even the sense of separation from all that it exists, that itself is suffering. It need not even be grief. It need not even be some sort of pain. It need not even be some sort of sadness or depression or any other form of what we usually picture as suffering. Even this forgetfulness of our true nature, because of which we feel we are separate from God, separate from Source, separate from the true self. That itself is suffering. That is dukkha. So dukkha is really existence as a separate self, which is illusory. But in the dream it seems real. But when you are in the dream, at that level, it's true. Also, for enlightened people, those who are awake, it's the same. When they are doing dream bound things like going to the DMV, there is a honoring of that level of reality, saying, here's my identity. This is my real ID. Because at that level, you play the role of being that person, because you're interacting with the dream in that role. So you're just playing a role. As long as there is no attachment to that role, as long as there is no confusion that that role itself is the truth, there is no bondage to that. So, if you have some myths about enlightenment, that as soon as you're enlightened, all you're doing is sitting on a silk pillow and flying off into all these dimensions, and you don't need to take care of your human life, that is far from the truth. There's actually more importance of fulfilling the different roles you play. But it's not how most people think how roles should be played. There's no formula like that. But yeah, it still exists. Role playing exists. But coming back to dukkha as the truth of suffering, when there is separate existence as a limited self, which comes from the second noble truth talks about where it comes from. Not exactly where it comes from, but the physical manifestation of things. It comes from forgetting. It comes from avidya, which is how Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism has talked about it. In Advaita Vedanta, we see a lot of this. Avidya is not knowing, not being aware of your true nature. Ignorance of your true self. Ignorance of your identity. But yes, the second noble truth is Trishna, which literally means thirst, seeking, desire, wanting. But the more appropriate word is like thirst. If you directly see it through Sanskrit, what does thirst mean? It's like when you're really thirsty just for water. You can see like, oh, you haven't drunk water in days, imagine. And you're like just not just seeking water, you're kind of desperate. There is something in you is like, it's a physical need. It's a need, not a want. So I need to drink some water. So physical needs of thirst are okay. But what we are talking about here, as I play the role of a human being in this body, it's appropriate for me to drink water. But the pointing out of what is Trishna, you have to understand, is that thirst not from the level of the human, but from the level of consciousness, of your deeper awareness, pure awareness, where pure awareness, your true nature, is seeking something because it feels it's incomplete. Your pure awareness instead of remaining in the fullness and the emptiness of all that is, being content, complete in its own fullness. Awareness being convinced due to this sense of separation, due to this forgetfulness, that there is something else that needs to be sought, something else that will make you complete, something else without which you cannot be happy. Seeking. Even when you are all that is, even when you are infinity, you are eternity, you are God, you are the source, you are so much more than you can even imagine. That belief, assumption, that deep sense that is taken to be true, that you are separate. And you need something. That is Trishna, that seeking. So that is what causes dukkha. Because you don't feel complete in your true self. Because you don't know you have everything. You don't know you are the source of all this is. And because you don't know, because avidya, you're seeking something else outside of you. Even when you have all the treasures that you have been born with, even before birth. You have everything, and yet there is something in you that has convinced you that you're missing something. That you have to please others. That you have to seek on the outside. You are seeking happiness. People are wandering. Usually this is a normal state of mind of looking outward, trying to get this, trying to get that, trying to find one drop of happiness outside when you are the endless ocean of bliss. And you don't know it. You are the king of the world, you are the queen of the world, you are the creator. And yet you take yourself to be a little beggar, a little victim of life. And that is the dream that you created for yourself. So Trishna, the thirst, the seeking, that makes you forget who you are and seek on the outside. The imaginary outside, I should say. There is nothing outside of you. But in the sense of separation, it seems that there is outside and inside. There's you and others, there's God and the soul. There is duality. Light and dark, happiness, sadness. Sukha, dukkha. The opposite of dukkha is sukha. You may have heard the words loka samastha sukhino bhavantu, which means may all beings be happy. Not just happy from how we see temporary happiness, but this is referring to that completion, the sense of resting in the truth of who you are. Opposite of dukkha. That's why it's also translated, loka samastha sukhino bhavantu is also translated as may all beings be free of suffering. So, Buddha was very prescriptive as well. He was like, the first truth is that there is suffering. You all know the story of how it happened. But if you didn't, if you're new to Buddhism, if you're new to this in any way, basically the story goes that the prince Siddhartha, who was protected by his parents, the king and the queen, from being exposed to the normal difficulties of life by being confined in the palace and only the brightest side of life being shown to them, all the pleasures of life. He got to experience life outside the palace, life outside the illusion. By sneaking out, he saw that there is death, there is disease, there is old age. He met an old man, somebody who has some illness, and a corpse. And this made him question everything. Hmm. 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 Yeah, so coming back to the subject, I know we go on tangents here, but that's the beauty of this exploration. Mm. Mm. There's a lot of depth to cover if we want to cover this depth in conceptual exploration, but the true depth is who you are. It's already within you. And that's what I'm trying to point towards through this exploration. Mm. Mm. And I'm trying to also bring it back all together so that it's accessible to you. We can talk about this for days and days and days and days. Endless words will not even begin to describe the beauty, the depth, the magic, the grace of the truth. But we'll try to put words to it as much as we can, because words are accessible, because you understand words. And before I could experience the depth of this beyond words, words were important to me too. So I tried to build a bridge from words to what is beyond words. Okay, where were we on this bridge? We were talking about the third. We were about to talk about the third noble truth. After considering the first and second, dukkha and trishna, as I was saying, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha was very prescriptive in a way that he's like, okay, this is the truth, that there is suffering at this level of existence. Being separate is suffering, dukkha, and the cause of suffering is trishna, seeking or desire, or the thirst from the level of consciousness. Satisfying human thirst is okay. You're just playing the role. Nothing wrong with that. The third, noble truth. Nirvana. Talking about this as I reach into the wordless place. Cannot even call it a place. As I build this bridge, it's in human words, what I can say, it feels very consciousness altering. Feels very high. Because it's reaching Hmm. 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 All these multidimensional awarenesses of existence. Hmm. So, if you notice me talking a little strange, hmm, and if you're curious, hmm, I'm not on any substances, I'm not drunk, I'm not mm, mm, anything else. Mm. Um, a funny way of saying this is that I'm high on my own supply. Mm. Mm. Meditation is the most potent drug. Mm. 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 And by meditation, I mean simply coming back to your true nature. Not a technique, not a some practice. Simply being in that realization of the truth itself takes you very, very high. So, yes, nirvana. Talking about this is very heightened experience. And after enlightenment, not just talking about it, not just meditation, but everything and or anything can be a very high experience. Again, nirvana, the word itself means the initial part of the word, the first part of the word nir. It's a negation. Nirvana. Like in yoga, the definition of yoga is yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the stopping of all activity of chitta, which is awareness. Nirvana is from that same level of consciousness, stopping, extinguishing is another word. The extinguishing of this trishna, the extinguishing of seeking, the extinguishing of this sense of needing something outside of you to be complete. If you really listen to what I'm saying with an open heart, an open mind, I'm pointing out to you energetically in your awareness, because your awareness is my awareness. There is no separation. I don't teach only through words. So if you're open, you can tap into my awareness. Because words are so limited, I have to teach in this deeper way, in this way of transmission to be effective. This is why my teachings, especially for my students, for my mentees, the biggest part of it, the differentiator, is the transmission that comes with the teachings. Sometimes I do purely transmission too, but it's very helpful to have some understanding in order to engage the mind. If we just go into pure silence all the time, the mind gets a little confused. Often. So listen to my words, try to understand, but know that it's not really about the words. Use the words to go beyond the words. Listen to what is in between the words. Yes, so nirvana, the extinguishing, the stopping, the retirement of the action, the running, this constant running, the constant seeking, the constant looking outside of this, what your awareness, instead of just being satisfied, content, complete in its own awareness, awareness being simply awareness, awareness trying to grasp at this and that, trying to complete itself because it thinks it's incomplete, because of Maya, because of ignorance, trishna, seeking. The stopping of all of that is nirvana. That is the stopping of dukkha as well. Because if you address the root cause of dukkha, of suffering, guess what happens? Suffering stops. At the human level, there will continue to be human things that happen, human ups and downs that come and go. As long as you're playing a role in this dream, there is whatever the dream brings. But the awareness can be free of it. Awareness can be in the state of completion, enlightenment, self-realization, mukti, freedom, jivan mukta. This is the name for an enlightened one, which means that jivan mukta, the one who is free of samsara, limited life. limited existence. Nirvana is that good news that it's possible for everybody, whenever they're ready, whenever they're willing, whenever they're open, whenever they're fortunate enough to come to that place of wanting, to stop the wanting. Sounds full of contradiction, but it's to be understood in a deeper way, beyond words. So this is Buddha's version of the good news that the kingdom of God is within you and salvation is possible from suffering. Same thing. If you look at every enlightened being's essence in their teaching, it's the same. Not the words, not the cultural context, especially not the political misuse of religion for power and control. That's separation. That's illusion. But the truth in all true teachings is the same. The truth beyond words. So nirvana, the third noble truth. I'm just putting it into one Sanskrit word each so we can keep it accessible without going into too much of the Sanskrit rabbit holes. We've gone on enough tangents in this teaching already. We don't need more. But if you have questions, if you have more interest, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll try to answer as much as I can. In fact, the reason I'm making this video is also because one of you asked me for this specific teaching. So that's why I'm making it. And also I'm recording this the day after Buddha Purnima. The day, the full moon during which Buddha got enlightened. This is a great time to record this teaching. I'm so high. I'm trying to speak. And I'm somewhat succeeding. So thank you for your patience and understanding. And your interest. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're interested in enlightenment, in the Four Noble Truths. Yes, we are still at the third. Nirvana is that cessation of seeking. Which means you're coming back to your true nature. You remember who you are, not remembering from just using the headquarters, conceptual remembrance, not just that. It may involve some conceptual understanding too, but a deeper, multidimensional remembrance of your true nature. beyond the body, beyond the personality, beyond the mind, beyond your name, beyond your form, beyond all limitations. Realization of your true nature, self-realization, God realization. This is what it's referring to. This is the realization of truth. When I talked about truth earlier, this is truth. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Sat Chit Ananda. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. I'll have to make more videos to explain all that because if we go down that rabbit hole, I don't think we'll finish this teaching. But if you're interested in the real truth, I invite you to go deeper in this exploration. Don't stop at just a YouTube video. If you want to go deeper in the path, reach out to me. Join my free community, join my mentorship, and we have even deeper teachings every week. I'm available to you as your mentor, as your teacher, as your guru. I don't care, whatever role that lets you see who you are, with me just being as a mirror. My only intention is your enlightenment, because you are me, I am you. So nirvana is enlightenment, bringing the light. What is enlightenment? In the ignorance of darkness, when somebody is lost, they are truly believing themselves to be this little thing that suffers, the self. Enlightenment is bringing the light of remembrance of who you are, the light of truth, which opens your eyes to see that you are all that is. Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am the supreme reality. So much Shakti flows through my body, my nervous system, my aura, as I speak from this realization. And that's what you might notice as different things happening to my body, if you're curious, so that you don't get confused. That's why I'm saying that. Because if people get confused, they doubt, they have all sorts of judgments which close your heart, close your mind, and then you don't see what I'm pointing at. So that's why the explanation. Nirvana. Nirvana. Mm. I'm fighting hard to talk. Mm. 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 Fighting hard is probably not the right words for it. Mm. Mm. But as there is so much Shakti flowing, mm. 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 For the humanness, mm. 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 Which is playing the role of translating this into words, it can be mm. a very high experience. Mm. 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 So you can imagine this if somebody's really high on some consciousness altering trip or experience. Mm. Mm. As a comparison, it's not exactly that. It's a way of speaking about it. Mm. Nirvana. Mm. So even if you just understand this truth that you are mm, uh, not separate, that is nirvana. If you understand any of the Mahavakyas that I said, Tattvamasi Aham Brahmasmi, mm. Ayamatma Brahma. Mm. Different ways of stating the same. That coming back to that oneness, which is stopping the seeking, the search, the separate existence of being a little separate being, the end of the journey, the completion of the journey, coming back home to source, that is nirvana. And Buddha said, this is the answer to dukkha, to suffering. And he didn't just stop there. He talked about the fourth noble truth now, which is marga, the path. The path to nirvana. It is not the path, I have to say, it is a path. There are infinite paths to nirvana, because nirvana is already who you are. You're already awareness, you're already enlightenment. So that's why it's also called a realization of what is. That's why some people refer to some paths as a pathless path, because there is nowhere to go, there is nothing to do, there's nothing to get, nothing to lose, nothing to understand. But marga, a bridge, as I was saying earlier, for somebody who believes themselves to be a suffering little human being, an identity, a form, a name, a personality, for somebody to go from that state of confusion, that state of illusion, to the recognition, the realization of their true nature, remembrance. Seemingly, there needs to be a path. So, Buddha had his recipe, his prescription. So, if you imagine Buddha to be a doctor, he had his prescription of, oh, this is what you should do. If you go to a different doctor and get a second opinion, you may get a different prescription. So there is no one path. Right? That's why other enlightened teachers, other gurus, other saints have their own formula, have their own prescription. I have studied with many enlightened masters, and each of them had a different expression of the path. And even each enlightened teacher, each guru may prescribe a slightly different variation or a completely different variation of the path to each of their students. That has been the case for me. When a student goes to a guru, a shishya goes to a guru, depending on where they are at, the guru gives them the next step on the path. So how can it be the same? So if you put a destination into Google Maps, at a certain place you have to take a right, in a certain place you have to take a left, a certain place you have to go straight, depending on where you're at. So if you start going to a certain mountain from the south, you have to go north. If the mountain, you're starting from the north, you have to go south. Right? So you cannot say only people who go north are doing the right thing. Only going north is the Dharma. All that comes from misunderstandings and separation. Limited interpretations of true teachings. So each enlightened teacher, each guru I've learned from had a different expression. And that's perfect. And that's beautiful. After nirvana, after you recognizing your enlightenment, the way you express your enlightenment will be completely different from mine. Maybe comparable, maybe not. But it's unique. People who have all these judgments about enlightened people, I did. When I was looking for an enlightened teacher, I had all sorts of judgments about what they wore, what they eat, what they do, what they don't do, every sort of judgment. Doesn't matter. Mm. Each of my enlightened teachers have shown me how enlightenment is different. And I'm so grateful of having learned from different lineages that gave me the awareness of the oneness within all of that. Now I'm fortunate to be studying with other embodied, enlightened master, my current guru, Jagat Guru Saima. Her expression as an embodiment of divine feminine touches my heart so much. So that's what I'm doing. I'm continuing down this endless deepening of enlightenment. And there is no need to stop being a student. The one who knows, truly knows that there is so much more than what can be known. And the freedom in not having to know. Well, yes, we are at the fourth noble truth, the Marga. So yes, Buddha's prescription recipe, Buddha's recipe of baking the cake of nirvana had 8 ingredients. All the right things, the right view, right speech, right livelihood, all those right things. All right. Yeah, just be all right. That's what he basically said. Just be all right and everything's gonna be all right. He was not a right-wing person though. I don't know what his political views were. But it seems he was all about righteousness, true righteousness, doing things the right way, right action, looking at things the right way, right view, right understanding, right concentration. The, the Sanskrit words, you know what, let's not get into all the rights right now because it's gonna make this video, which is already very long, even longer. So know that it's all right. But it's not the only path. And all this has been my hmm, take as a modern Buddha. Hmm, hmm. There's no need to hmm, hmm, be meek about being awake. There are some people who say, oh, those who say they are enlightened are not enlightened. All sorts of sayings. These are just words. And words have limitations. It may apply to some people, it may not apply to some people. But stating things as they are, that's how I see it. That's how I say it. Mm. But I'm playing a role here as well. The role of teaching right now. Mm. 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 We are all playing roles. And when I'm a student, I'm playing the role of a student. Mm. 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 In this beautiful dream. Mm. When you see the dream as a dream, Maya becomes Leela. Mm. Mm. Illusion becomes a play of consciousness. Okay, I think we've gone super long. If you have any questions at all, please post in the comments. Mm. And if you would like to go deeper towards nirvana, enlightenment, self-realization, which, by the way, is very possible for you. You are here on this earth, in this lifetime, at this time, in this incarnation, listening to this video, watching this video, because you are ready for your enlightenment. And it's possible for you. So, don't limit yourself. Don't think you have to wait for several lifetimes more or whatever other qualifications you have upon what you already are. Let that go. And if you're interested, I'm here for you. If my teaching resonates with you, and if you would like to explore more, I have links in the description. Depending on when you watch this, I have a free community. I might be offering one-on-one meetings for those who are interested to speak with me. I may not be offering this if I'm too busy, which is happening a lot. I may stop doing these one-on-one calls at any time because they are taking up a lot of time sometimes, and I'm traveling and teaching a lot and serving my community. But I'm sure I'll have something available for free that you can join or whatever. So details will be in the description. Go figure it out. Because it's possible for you if you're interested. Take that step. So with that, thank you so much for watching, listening, for your interest in discovering who you are. I'm grateful for the light that you are, whether you realize it now or not. So, namaste. Thank you.